Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Beyond the Bottom Line, the podcast that sits down with nonprofit leaders, executive directors, founders, board members, people who are in the background doing all the grunt work so that you can see the final product and how they change the world. This is a show that sits down and gives these people an opportunity to share their stories, give more insight into their experiences as nonprofit professionals and why they decided to go into this wonderful, wacky world of nonprofit work, and really give them the space they need to share over their message and the interesting things about their organization. This show is proudly sponsored by GiveSuite. GiveSuite is the all-in-one nonprofit system that helps you work and grow with your organization, elevate and accelerate, and nonprofit tech that actually doesn't suck. Within GiveSuite, you have all the different things you need to be able to run your organization properly without breaking the bank. If you'd like to learn more about GiveSuite, you can check it out in the link below in the video notes, www.givesuite.com. You can also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bottom Line Show on YouTube. There are several Beyond the Bottom Line YouTube channels, but ours is Beyond the Bottom Line Show. Like and subscribe to this. It helps the channel grow. It helps the algorithm figure out who's liking our stuff. And today we're sitting down with a really awesome dude. He's actually on my other show, Profiting with Nonprofits. He's actually a user of ours on GiveSuite and loves the platform, thank God. And he's just a really real all-around mensch. His name is Ryan Levin, and he is the executive director of Keren Efrat, an organization based in Israel, where they are located in the Gush region of Israel, surrounded by lots of historical and wonderful biblical things. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you can definitely check them out. We're going to sit down and have this wonderful conversation with Ryan today. As I always say, nobody cares about me. Let's dive into the show. Ryan, welcome aboard. How are you?
Hi, well, thank you so much. It's fantastic to be here. I'm doing great. It's good to see you again.
Absolutely. I always have fun hanging out with you. And we're in Israel, if you see someone 3 times, you have to give them an ice cream. So I think the next time we talk, I'm going to have to get you an ice cream.
I might take you up. I might wait for the weather to warm up a little bit, but yeah, I might just take you up on that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you're the newly appointed executive director of Keren Efrat. So how did that happen? What's your story behind this, and what's your history in the nonprofit space? Because last time we talked, we discussed leadership in nonprofits, but we never really dived into your whole story. So what's your deal?
There's a lot to unpack it. I'd say recent is all relative. I actually took up the position in July last year, so being in the person for about a better part of the half a year. This was a role that I actually pursued. I heard through the grapevine, that the role was going to be made available, and I actually approached the mayor at the time was recently appointed mayor of the newly appointed mayor of the city. Had a conversation with him, expressed my background and my real genuine interest, in the role. I have to be a resident of Efrat, and so the work on the foundation resonates all the more personally for me. And I'd say the rest is history. It took a little longer than I'd hoped, but ultimately, that's how I came to be in the role.
That's really cool. And you said that you're already a resident of the city, and so you already had familiarity with the organization. The fact that you pursued the job was something really big. So what were you doing before that, and why were you so passionate about pursuing this one?
I was doing similar type work. I've been fundraising professionally for about 3.5, 4 years prior. Before that, I was in the corporate space, and then before that, recently returned from a 4-year period of teaching abroad. And so, social impact has for a long time been, a space that, I identify with personally and strongly, and where I invest and built a career path. And the opportunity to be involved, in a non-profit organization that does work on a municipal level, for me, felt like a great career pivot, but also a way to really feel the scaling, of the social impact work that I do.
No, it's really cool. And the fact that you said your organization works in tandem with the municipality,
Sure.
That's pretty interesting. Like, what does that mean?
Well, It means a few things. First of all, when working within any municipal boundaries, at the end of the day, in order to do so effectively, it requires a healthy working relationship with the professional side of the municipality and its elected officials as well. That's just to ensure the projects that we want to break ground with, ultimately we have approval. They oftentimes hold the levers which permit or dictate the timetable upon which projects are able to sort of break ground and move ahead, and ultimately come to completion. So there's real value in having a close symbiotic working relationship. At the end of the day, the foundation that works with on behalf and servicing the city, really needs to ensure that we're providing solutions and projects which are of the priority, which are prioritized equally as much by the council. So that sort of symbiosis, that relation, that proximity of relationship, is really important in ensuring that A, we have the efficiency, and B, we have the means for which to deliver.
That's really interesting because, an organization that works in tandem with a city, you would think that these type of things would be funded by the city, but
yes,
but you guys are fundraising for these projects. You guys are doing these things and working in tandem with the city. So why is it that
right?
I mean,
Why do
what's the value of you existing?
Yeah, it's a good question. We get asked that often. We do the projects that we're involved with in one of two different categories. Either the category one of those that are already entitled to a degree of municipal funding. At the end of the day, municipal funding is dictated and is granted by the state. And so where that funding, there's a shortfall in the funding, doesn't fully provide, could be that the government grant may only provide 50%, and there are a whole variety of calculus that go into determining the percentage weighting that government funding will cover. And then there are others in category B which are outside of that purview, outside of that portfolio. Ultimately, municipalities' budgets and have to be often spread pretty thinly. For that reason, the necessity to have a fundraising operation to supplement where necessary, but also to deliver above and beyond, becomes all the more critical.
So you're like a supplement to them.
No, I think we provide that solution when necessary, but we're an independent entity functioning separately. Yes, there's a lot of overlap. But the beauty about a foundation, as a separate organizational entity, I think we had mentioned before, is that administrations politically come and go, and with that comes comes policies, etc. And we're the constant. We're apolitical. We have a very well defined vision and mission statement. But at the end of the day, we ensure that we're unaffected by what can at times be the turbulence of political comings and goings.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And what's interesting is, speaking of nonprofits, and in terms of the leadership, in terms of the functionality of it, when I first met you, it was great because we met, we talked, you're like, sign me up, let's get on for the year, let's get it going and out the gate. And I find sometimes with a lot of the organizations that we deal with in the sales cycle with us, they're interested, but it takes way longer, and they're not adapt to doing new things too quickly. So I think that's a testament to your leadership skills and the way that you approach things, because like every time we talk, you're just very into like, let's see how we can keep evolving and keep going. So why is that? I mean, with you, how'd that happen? How'd you get into that type of personality and as a leader? But why with other nonprofits do you think there's like that hesitation?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a personality element component to it. The old debate as to are leaders made or are they born? I think there's what to be said both arguments. I think it's a bit of both. But for me, it's just naturally more of a personality inclination. I think that we as people, living this era, are witnesses to technological innovation that 100 years ago people could only have didn't even dream of. It was like in the world of fantasy. I think we're constantly adapting, and if we don't adapt, we kind of fall behind. I think that's the philosophy that I bring to my leadership application as well, and on an organizational level. I think in order for an organization to continue to grow and prosper, I think can only benefit from innovating constantly. I think regarding others that are a little bit more hesitant, I understand it. Change is a process; it's not an event, and there's always like resistance. And I'm used to working one way and to have to and to modify that. I'm thinking for myself, like, am I like I can learn new systems, and if I have a team, I then got to teach them, and then there's an onboarding, and just, I think a lot of people are just put off by the headwinds that they foresee having to face. I think it's worth it if we've done so wisely. Look, at the end of the day, there are a lot of products, that are all looking to compete for my business, and so it can be a very noisy space. But it's important to have clarity of understanding of what your needs are in that moment, and what you feel you need in terms of putting those building blocks in place to get to where you want to be in the future. And that future can be a year, 3, 5, 10 years down the line.
Oh, interesting. And it seems like you guys work with a lot of autonomy too, like meaning like it's not like you have a board, but you're not like, based on our conversations, it seems like you work with a lot of autonomy where you can kind of do what go ahead and do things that you want to do in order to just get them done. And do you feel like when it comes to leadership with nonprofits that the boards sometimes are what quashes like good leadership and growth in an organization?
So I mean, we do work with a degree of autonomy. I think on a day-to-day, I think that's necessary and healthy for any organization to exist successfully. We, at the end of the day, we work in tandem and in symbiosis with our board, and also as having to work. In our partnership with the council requires us oftentimes, some instances, frustratingly, to work at their pace when it requires decision making that are not exclusive just to us. Definitely, it provides for that agility. The more independent, the more autonomous. But at the end of the day, the business of fundraising is really the business of partnerships, and your immediate partnership partner stakeholders are your board. Your board need to feel empowered. They're not just in name, not just rubber stamping, but that they really are valued, both for their knowledge, but also for the contribution that they bring to the table, and that requires decision making that oftentimes runs through them, and we're no exception to that. And in many instances, I will say that always on the whole, it's always worth it, even though it can feel frustratingly slow at times. But ultimately, the value of partnership always supersedes, the temporary inconvenience of time.
No, absolutely. It's all about partnerships. It's all about partnerships, all about relationships. It's all about continuing the relationships. And this is what we do on the marketing side of things. And this is one of the reasons why I really love like what we did with GiveSuite, is that the marketing automation and the continuous like follow-up sequences that you can create in order to, especially with your donors, is that relationship building. And when you're constantly talking to, whether it's your donors, whether it's your board members, whether it's your people just care about, like, they want to know what's going on. They just want to feel like you care about them.
Correct.
And I feel like this is like a huge key to success, both in business and at a nonprofit, is just constantly be in touch, constantly follow up, constantly communicate.
Yeah. Look, I mean, there's that fine balance between like not wanting to overdo it and being like, too much base, but also at the same time being present. There's nothing worse than, for a donor and feeling that the only time their organization picks up the phone to them is campaign time of the year.
Right.
Where have you been for the last 364 days of the year?
That's exactly what I say. And this is why all these peer-to-peer campaigns, everyone's telling you do a crowdfunding campaign, blah, blah, blah. But like your crowd's not into funding you because you don't give a crap about your crowd.
Yeah. I think the real work, look, crowdfunding campaigns are hard work. The month and a half before, I've run several, so talking from experience, but I would say like the real more significant work to be done is post-campaign. It's like, how do you like cultivate those relationships? You've got this enormous database. Do something with it.
That is literally the reason, one of the main reasons why we built our whole company. I am not joking you. But you say crowdfunding campaigns are a lot of work because we're talking about the relationship side of it the month before. I feel like these type of things wouldn't be so much work if people actually did the cultivation from the minute that campaign bell rings to the next time the campaign happens, because people are already your fans. People are ready to jump out of their seats to throw wads of cash at you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I hear that. Look, I think crowdfunding campaigns will always demand a meaningful degree of work and preparation. A certain segment of one's database are used to being reached out and contacted through various channels, and it's not always digitally through the WhatsApp. Some do still wait for the phone call, but I think be that as it may, I definitely hear it. We are flooded with the outreach messaging throughout the year. And it's very easy to be forgotten, if you're not constantly. It's like muscle. If you're not constantly, building it, it ultimately amounts to naught. Makes it a lot more challenging years to come. So I fully agree with you.
No, absolutely. Now, as a user of our platform, before you came on to working with us, how has it changed since you started working with us, and how has it affected your organization in the growth potential and the scalability? I know you're still fresh with everything, but like how is some aspects of using an all-in-one like synchronized system had an effect on your day-to-day and the potential growth?
Right, so I can definitely, I'll speak just to the social media marketing side. I think the ability to work the plan and just to kind of tee things up ahead of time, I think that for us has been like a really big game changer. We spoke about, apropos what we were just speaking about, constantly, being seen and heard. Even though one's social media attention span today is measured in, I would say, milliseconds, let alone seconds. So they need to be constantly generating some sort of content of whatever relevance. The ability just to line that up, automate that, and just have that kind of on an automated sort of conveyor belt for us has been quite a big value add.
That's awesome. So as we wrap up this episode, as someone who is a leader in the space, who's been in the fundraising space, who has kind of done all sorts of things within the nonprofit and the cause world, what piece of advice would you give somebody who is a first-time executive director, someone who's kind of gone through different channels and made to the top? What piece of advice would you give them?
I would say have a very, very clearly defined and well-articulated narrative. The ability to tell a story of the work that you do is essential, not just for creating interest amongst donors, but also galvanizing your staff, your lay leadership. People need to understand and buy into the why it is we do what we do.
That's pretty good. That's pretty solid. And I think that it's true. You have to have a plan. You have to. I always say it's the why and the how. Yeah. It's the why and the how, and nobody wants to understand the why and the how because it's too hard. but you have to really sit down and understand those factors and really have a good plan written out in order to be successful. So this is great. Ryan, thank you for joining me for round 2.
My pleasure. Third time I scream on you.
All right, fair enough. And if anybody would like to get in touch with you, how can we do that? And how can they make a donation, become a partner of Keren Efrat, and help the biblical lands grow?
So firstly, we would be more than glad and grateful for any support, and just to follow the incredible work that we do. Best way is visit our website, kerenefrat.org, KERENEFRAT.org.
Fair enough. I'll drop that information on their page that we're going to be putting up on the website, as well as in the YouTube channel description. So you'll be able to go ahead and contact them. And you can also, if you feel connected to this cause and want to help growing the Bible lands, you can make a donation to them, become a partner. I'm sure they'd greatly appreciate it. And as I said, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Is the Beyond the Bottom Line show on YouTube. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because it helps me put out more great content for y'all. And we'll be putting these up on our site every single week. So you can go to givesuite.com and check that out as well, along with other great content in our content hub. And until next time, we'll catch you later.